on being glad you came. There will come a morning, perhaps soon, when you step outside before anyone else has risen, and the air will smell like damp earth and something almost sweet, and a bird will be singing as though it were the first song ever composed, and you will think without any effort at all, "I am glad to be here." Hold that thought. It is more valuable than you know. We spend so much of our lives in argument with existence. We bargain with it, resent it, wish it was shaped differently. We treat life as something to be endured rather than entered. And I understand why. The world can be bewildering. It asks so much of us, often without explanation. But I wonder sometimes if half the weariness we carry comes not from what life demands, but from the distance we keep from it. You cannot be refreshed by a river you refuse to step into. Consider how a child enters a room. Not cautiously, not with calculations about whether the room deserves their enthusiasm, but completely. They touch everything. They ask about everything. They are, in the truest sense, there. Somewhere along the way, most of us began to hang back near the door. We started watching instead of joining. We told ourselves that restraint was wisdom, that holding back was the same as being safe. But safety purchased at the cost of full participation is a poor bargain. You are not a spectator of your life. You were invited to the feast, and the table is set, and the bread is warm, and it would be a great pity to spend the whole evening standing by the wall, wondering whether you belong. You belong. Let me say that plainly, because I think you need to hear it. Not because you have earned it through some extraordinary act, not because your credentials have been reviewed and approved, but because you are here. That is the only qualification required. The morning light does not check your references before it falls across your face. The first snow of the year does not ask whether you deserve to see it. These things are given freely. Your task is only to receive them, and to let receiving them change you, even slightly, even for a moment. I know what troubles you. You think you have wasted time. You look back at years that feel blurred, seasons you cannot account for, stretches where you moved through your days like someone walking through fog. And perhaps that is true. Perhaps you did lose some hours to worry, to distraction, to the strange paralysis that comes from wanting too many things at once and choosing none of them. But here is what I want you to notice. You are troubled by the waste. That trouble is itself a kind of waking up. The person who does not care about lost time is still asleep. You, my friend, are rubbing your eyes and beginning to see, and that is no small thing. The fact that you wish you had been more present is proof that presence lives in you, waiting to be called upon. It has not left. It was only resting. There is a particular kind of joy that comes from deciding fully to be where you are. Not where you think you should be. Not where others expected you to arrive by now. But here, in this room, in this body, in this imperfect and astonishing life that, for reasons none of us can explain, you were given. I have watched people chase contentment across oceans, through new cities, into new careers, only to find that it was waiting for them in the kitchen they left behind, in the quiet evening they kept rushing past. Contentment is not a destination. It is a way of sitting in the chair you already occupy. And yet, I do not mean to say that you should want nothing, strive for nothing, change nothing. That would be a dead kind of peace, and you are far too alive for that. What I mean is this. Let your striving come from fullness, not from lack. Let it come from the same place as that early morning gladness, that unreasonable delight at the smell of rain or the sight of light moving across a wall. Move toward what draws you because you are curious, not because you are desperate. There is an enormous difference between a person who runs because they love the feel of wind on their face and a person who runs because something is chasing them. Both are running. Only one is free. You will notice, if you pay attention, that the moments you remember most vividly are rarely the grand ones. They are not the achievements or the accolades, though those have their place. They are the small, unbidden gifts. A friend laughing so hard they could not speak. The warmth of a cup held between both hands on a cold afternoon. The way the sky looks just after the sun has gone and everything turns that impossible shade of blue. These moments ask nothing of you, except that you be awake for them, and they repay your attention 1,000-fold. They are the threads from which a good life is quietly woven, and you will miss them entirely if you are always looking somewhere else. I think, too, of how we are with each other, how we walk past one another full of secret kindnesses we never speak, full of quiet admirations we are too shy to offer. What a funny species we are. We will rehearse an argument for hours, but stumble over a compliment. We will carry a grudge across decades, but let a moment of tenderness pass without remark, as though love were something to be embarrassed about. May I suggest a gentle correction? Say the kind thing. Say it now. Say it clumsily. Say it even if your voice shakes. The people you love are here, in this brief window of time, and so are you. And there is something almost unbearably beautiful about that. Two unlikely creatures, alive at the same moment, in the same place, able to speak and to listen. Do not let that miracle go unacknowledged. There is a question I return to often, and I offer it to you now, not as a test, but as a companion for your quieter hours. If you knew, truly knew, that this life was the only one you would ever be given, would you live it differently? Not dramatically. I do not mean would you abandon everything and sail somewhere. I mean, would you taste your food more carefully? Would you linger a moment longer at the window? Would you forgive a little sooner, laugh a little louder, say yes to the invitation you have been putting off? I suspect the answer is yes. And I suspect you already know what small shifts would bring you closer to the life that is waiting inside this one. You do not need more information. You do not need permission. You need only the willingness to stop standing near the door and to walk at last into the room. The bread is warm. The company is here. Be glad you came.